Venezia. Beautiful, breathtaking, astounding, one of a kind.
And disappointing.
Yeah, a little bit. We'll talk about it in the review. Welcome to A Brawl with the Burrells, a channel for travelers by travelers. I'm Coleman.
I'm Jamie.
Don't forget to subscribe. Hit that button. It only takes 1 second. Today we are reviewing Venice, one of the most photographed cities in the world. An absolute architectural marvel. Probably on everyone's bucket list. It is astounding. When you're there and you see those canals and the boats running through, the bridges, the little shops and stores, and you hear the accordion music in the background, it truly is a one-of-a-kind experience. There's no place quite like it.
Yeah, when we first arrived, we were just in shock. We could not believe what we were seeing with our eyes. You know, it's a city on water. I mean, there are no cars, none. It was incredible to see.
It just has a charm about it, and just seeing it in person, up close and personal, was something that Jamie and I wanted to do for a very long time, so it was a great experience to be standing in Venice. So if you plan on going to Venice after the quarantine, where should you go and what should you do? Well, let's get right to it and talk about those must-dos.
The first thing I would think to talk about is St. Mark's Square.
All right, it's official. First day in Venice. We'll be searching for some food and over to San Marco Square later. Yeah, boy.
St. Mark's Square is really a central location where a lot of people go and hang out.
In St. Mark's Square, you're gonna find your major Venetian landmarks, such as St. Mark's Basilica, the Campanile, and of course the Doge's Palace. St. Mark's Basilica, or as the Venetians call it, San Marcos. It's a Gothic cathedral. It was built around the latter part of the 11th century. And when you go there, it is very nice, very beautiful. The outside facade is gorgeous. A lot of gold, of course, great for pictures. Not very big. If you've been to St. Peter's in Rome, you know how big that basilica is and how long it takes to walk through it. St. Mark's is a little more intimate, a little smaller, and you can get through it fairly quickly.
Yeah.
And there are guides on hand to help you and ask you any questions that you may have about the architecture, when it's built, or what it means to the city of Venice.
Yeah, side note on that, you do need to be covered. If you don't have something, right before you walk in, they sell a little shawl for like 1 or 2 euros.
Right across, of course, from St. Mark's Basilica is St. Mark's Campanile, which is the Italian word for bell tower, approximately. It's about 320 feet tall. Get to the top of it, commanding views of the city.
Just keep in mind too, when you're up at the top, if you're there when the hour strikes, it is extremely loud and you are right underneath the bell. We had Brooklyn with us and she was asleep during the time the bell tower rang.
Yeah, and time out. Let me just say this. That girl will wake up when you step foot and tiptoe in the door in her room goes, great. But the bell tower, which is teeth-chatteringly loud, was resounding and gonging, and somehow that chick slept right through it. I don't understand.
I don't get it.
These are the challenges of parenthood, okay? For those of you that are going down that road. Exactly.
It's good to note that there is an elevator in the bell tower. So, you know, there's been a lot of views we've seen across the world where you do have to climb the stairs, but this one did have elevator access, which allowed us to take the stroller up, which was really nice.
And right across from the Campanile is the Doge's Palace, which is wonderful, right on the water as you're coming down through the Venice main thoroughfare. And it's, of course, a spot you have to see. It was built in the 13th century, and it was a home of the Doges. Italy was not then like it is now. We look at Italy as one big unified country. That actually didn't happen until the 19th century. but it used to be composed of a bunch of city-states, kind of like feudal states in Japan. And so you would have doges that ruled their particular states, and that was sort of like the mayor's house. It is a grand establishment, huge rooms, grand ceilings. The tour is fantastic. Jim and I will go into a room and just look up like, whoa, like it was breathtaking. We spent a lot of time there. Grand staircases and colonnades and marble balconies, and I mean, they really lived in splendor. And it's kind of cool that as a regular citizen, you get a chance to go into a place that was once reserved for nobility or dignitaries.
Speaking of Doge's palace, inside the palace, you can access the Bridge of Sighs. And it's small quarters, but it's very interesting to see. When you're on the outside of the bridge, you can also see it very clearly. It's called the Bridge of Sighs because it was providing the last view of Venice that the prisoners would see before they were put away.
Before they were locked up.
For who knows how long. Okay, so they could see out onto the beautiful canals before they saw no more. So, you know, they would let out a sigh, and that's why it's called the Bridge of Sighs.
The more you know. Next up, probably the most famous bridge in Venice, the Rialto Bridge, one of 4 that crosses the Grand Canal. And getting there is quite interesting. It's in the middle of a shopping district. The bridge houses many shops that sell jewelry and more high-end type things, I believe, that we saw there.
Yeah, just different types of vendors.
Yeah.
Purses.
Yeah. It's really beautiful. I mean, architecturally, it's a sight to see. Yeah. There's landings when you get off the bridge where you could get photos of it if you like.
Restaurants that sit right below it. So we sat and ate lunch and we just had this beautiful
We had the Rialto Bridge in the backdrop. No big deal. You know, lightweight.
Next on the list, which would probably be one of our more important items, is to ride a gondola.
Gondola ride, baby.
So, I mean, that is something that you have to do when you go to Venice. I mean, you won't really have an opportunity unless you, like, go to Vegas. right
in the
there.
Venetian.
Yeah.
It's almost the exact same.
It is a one-of-a-kind experience. It can be a little costly. I think it runs about $100, especially depending on the time of day. If you take one during the daytime, it's cheaper. More towards the evening, sunset, it can get a little more costly. We met a couple right as we were in line waiting for the next gondola. They were like, do you want to share? And we were able to split the cost. So it was only $50 each.
I got you guys now.
That was awesome.
That was fantastic.
It really made a good experience for us, even though we shared it, because we actually met them and have stayed in touch via social media. Definitely something you have to do.
Gondoliers are actually really, really cool.
Yeah.
They're very personable, very friendly. I understand it's their job. Even that being the case, their customer service is really awesome.
Yeah.
And you can shop around for your gondolier. Find the type of gondolier that has a personality that you like, that you connect with. Have a conversation with them. Talk to them. If you feel in this particular person, roll with that one, because it's all about making sure that that experience is great for you. That's our guy Jacobo right there. It's a wonderful gondolieri. Hello. Jacobo, how long have you been doing this?
About 2 years now.
You're good at it.
Yeah, it's a pretty good job.
Yeah.
I enjoy it. It's relaxing.
For sure. There are gondoliers that sing.
Yeah.
There are gondoliers that tell great stories. Most interesting thing that we learned about them is that it's all a private enterprise.
Yeah.
They save their money, they buy their boat, they buy their equipment, and it's the way that they make their living. It's not as if they're part of some gondolier union or something like that. The gondolieris, they all work for themselves. Some of them hustle really hard. We saw some of them working from sunup to sundown, or as the old folks used to say, from KC to KC. And then there were other ones that were a little bit lazier, and they might be chilling with their feet up throughout the day. But it's a private enterprise, and so make sure you connect with your gondolieri. Make sure you have a great time when you do it.
Next must do, drink an Aperol Spritz.
Yes.
Or 5. It's a cocktail, and it's just a staple in Venice. You gotta try it. It tastes good and it's refreshing. It's something you gotta do.
All right, we're here having our first dinner in Venice, and we're starting with a Aperol Spritz, like everyone on YouTube recommends, including Rick Steves. So let's give it a shot. It's good.
Is it lovely?
Yeah, and it's not like I thought it'd be really, really sweet, which sometimes can like upset your stomach. So it's not strong. Strong though.
My turn.
Sorry, Brooklyn, none for you.
Just milk for you, little girl. She doesn't find it amusing at all. Goes without saying, a lot of pasta, put it down.
You gotta eat the pasta.
Restaurants, trattorias galore. First pasta dish in Venice. Yummy.
Keep in mind that if you are in the touristy areas, they're going to be more pricey. All your meals are going to be pricey. If you wander a little bit into the outskirts or find yourself down some small little alleyway, you'll find a lot cheaper food.
Lastly, Venice, the most exciting part about it is just wandering around.
Yes.
Guys, it's an island. You can't get lost. You're not going to wander out too far. I mean, at the end of the day, if you get lost, just keep moving in circles. You'll find the Grand Canal and you'll be fine. There's all types of signage all over the island that point you back in the direction that you need to be. Wander those streets. Hey, what's over here? Take a turn and go. Hey, what's this look like? Take a turn and go. You're going to happen across so many little canals and cute little shops and stores and buildings. It's just beautiful. It's beautiful.
Okay, so beautiful, astounding, breathtaking, one of a kind.
Yeah.
Where's the disappointing
Where does
part?
the disappointment part come in?
All right, things to be aware of.
Things to be aware of. We'll talk about it here. Okay, where do we start with this?
Yeah.
Venice. No one told us, and anytime we travel, we research a lot. When we went there, I think we were expecting this Venetians.
Yeah.
An actual living, breathing Venetian city where there was real Italians and real culture and the real Venetians are still walking around, and that's not what we found at all. Venice felt like one big museum. It felt like Disneyland.
Yeah.
Like an amusement park. There were so many buildings that were abandoned.
Yeah.
Like no one there. Weeds growing through the concrete.
Yeah.
Whole sections of the city where we would wander around and it would be like a ghost town.
Yeah.
And then of course you hit the main thoroughfare and it's nothing but tourists. There's only 50,000 Venetians that still remain there and they're pushed to the outer rim of the island, so you don't really see them that often, and they're trying to avoid the tourists just like everybody else.
There was so much buildup, like we're going to Venice, like Venice.
Yeah.
We got there, and as we entered the city on the boat, we were just in awe. I mean, it was gorgeous.
Yeah.
Our first night there, we were like, this is so amazing. The more we walked around as the trip unfolded, it was just like, this is really sad.
Yeah. If you were to use a comparison, when you go to Rome has a ton of tourists there, there's no doubt about it, but it's still a living, breathing, functioning city. You're still gonna run across people going about their day-to-day lives and existence. Same thing when you go to Florence, same thing when you go to Genoa. Even when you go to Paris, which is the most visited city in the world, tourism is through the roof, but it's a living, breathing, functioning city.
And it was just like a scatter of real Venetians you came across. I mean, you met them.
And they would tell us the way it's gone, it's just, it makes no sense to stay there unless you have a family there that has had a house in the family for generations. It's just too expensive. Hotels and everything have bought it up and they've chased the locals off.
It was unfortunate because it's one of those places you have to go. You know, there's nowhere else in the world like it. It's so beautiful, but as the trip unfolds, you really feel this place is dying.
You can parlay this into a positive. During the day, Venice is crowded to the teeth with tourists. At night, they are gone, and that is actually one of the coolest times to explore the city.
Yeah.
So when you come to Venice, a little advice. At nighttime, the tourists clear out, and you basically have the whole city to yourself. So if you're staying here, we recommend coming out at nighttime or in the evening, so you get this.
It's very safe. We saw people walking around at night, some of them elderly couples, and we never felt threatened in any way, shape, or form. The streets were empty, the nights were cool, and that was a really good time for us to actually see those areas that were bottlenecked earlier during the day. And it's one of the silver linings you can take out of the fact that the city is no longer alive like it once was.
Yeah.
Another thing to be aware of, the weather in the summertime, is oppressive.
Oh my god.
The heat is just lightweight disrespectful.
Oh my gosh.
And it's humid too.
The moment we walked out of our hotel, you're covered in sweat. I mean, you literally don't take like 2 steps without sweating. Brooklyn, bless her little soul, she was so uncomfortable and sweaty because it was so hot.
Her little hair was just slicked all the way down.
I know.
Another thing to be aware of when you're flying into Venice, the airport is a ways off from the city center.
Yes.
And you have to find a way to get from the airport to Venice proper. There's a couple of ways to do that. The first way is you can take a vaporetto. Think of it like a city bus, but it's a boat.
Yeah.
So it's a city boat. That'll take you from the airport to Venice. It's a cheaper option for you. However, there are going to be a lot of stops along the way and a lot of people. For us, we had a lot of luggage. We had baby Brooklyn with us. We had just traveled halfway across the world. We were exhausted. So we paid the extra money to get a taxi to pick us up from the airport and take us straight to where our hotel was docked. It was our own little private boat, taxi boat, if you will. And that was a great option for us.
Yeah, so anyway, with all the luggage plus the baby stuff, we opted for the private water taxi. Any words?
It's very hot and humid here, but it's cooler next to the water. So.
Yep. All right.
It's our water taxi going to our hotel.
Got your own boat, Zoo. You got your own boat.
Living the good life, baby.
So I would recommend that if you're extremely tired, if you want to save on time, if you have a lot of luggage or dependents with you, that may be the best option.
Because when we were comparing doing that or the Vaporetto, I mean, it was going to take us like 2 extra hours to get to our hotel because of the stops that the Vaporetto makes. And we're just like, let's just get there and settle in because we were exhausted.
The taxi ride was also great because the cab driver was able to take us down some of the more narrow canals, not just the Grand Canal. Saw parts of Venice you probably won't see if you take a Vaporetto. Do keep in mind though that it is not door-to-door hotel service in all the hotels. Unless you have a prime time location on the waterfront and they can drop you right there, chances are you're gonna dock and then you'll have to walk some distance to wherever your hotel is within the city. Now once you're in Venice and you're in your hotel and your luggage is put down, do not shy away from using the Vaporetto.
Yeah.
It is excellent. The availability to purchase the tickets is very easy and user friendly. You walk right up, they have the map, they have the line stops clearly posted for you. You hop on, it takes you to your stop, you hop off. It's something that, you know, even the few Venetians that are remaining use, a lot of tourists use. It is very efficient, very nice. Do not shy away from using that.
You want to buy your tickets to all these major attractions before you get to Venice.
Yes.
With the vast amount of tourists, there is a ton of people waiting in line. You don't want to waste time waiting in line, especially if you're there on a super hot, sweaty day like us. Keep in mind, we're from California, so our weather's always really mild.
And there were a lot of lines that we skipped right in front of.
We were able to walk right to the front.
So, buy your tickets in advance online. It doesn't take very much time and it saves you a ton of time once you're here. Let's go to the entry where we get to go in without having to wait in line.
Yep, you basically get admittance right into the back door. Side door, whatever.
It saved us a ton of time, which left more time for just enjoying wandering around. And lastly, just something to be aware of is that with all of these canals, there are a lot of small bridges. Well, to get up the bridge, you have to take stairs. So if you are handicapped in a wheelchair, can't really do a lot of stairs, it is something that will kind of hinder you, right? Because we were constantly having to like pick up the stroller, carry her over, pick up the stroller, carry her over.
I saw a few ramps in certain major tourist areas, but to say that the entire island is wheelchair accessible is just not the case.
And they're not real steep staircases, just something to be aware of.
And lastly, cool fact. Ironically, Venice, a city built on water, is shaped like a fish. Thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
So that's gonna do it for our review of Venice. Hopefully we were able to give you some must-dos that gets you excited about your trip or motivate you to go to Venice one day and cross it off your bucket list.
After this shelter in place.
And hopefully we were able to put some things on your radar
it is somewhere definitely worth going, especially when things like this happen, you know, quarantine. Who knows where we'll be able to go,
Yes.
when we'll be able to go.
Life is short. Take advantage and get out there, guys, and travel this world and do the things that you want to do.
Yeah, and with that, you know, we just want to wish you all good health, especially everything that's going on with the coronavirus. A lot of families are being affected by it, so we wish the best for you and your family, and just stay safe. But it's a great time to plan your next trip like we've been doing.
That's right. Don't forget, traveling is not just about the destination, but who you share it with. Don't forget to subscribe, like, hit that thumbs up, all that good stuff, guys. And remember, go out there, make it happen,
and have fun.
have fun. Be safe,
you next
guys.
time.
See ya.
We out.
Venezia. Beautiful.
Start over. I did a stupid face.
Okay.
To us, it was 3, 2, 1.
Were you trying to say excruciating?
I don't know. I was going through like 5 different adjectives in my head.